Ontario is the latest province trying to stop young people from tanning. A private member's bill will be tabled today in the provincial legislature, and here's what it would do. Bar anyone under 18 from indoor tanning salons. This follows an online Ipsos Reid poll of almost 1,500 Ontario students aged 12 to 17. So we're looking at teens. It found that 21% of those in grade 12 and 11% in grade 11 use tanning beds. The Canadian Cancer Society, which commissioned this month's study, says parents are often the ones who introduce kids to tanning, and you know what? They often pick up the tab. Okay, so let's say you're a young person, or any person really, using a tanning bed or still worshiping the sun. Experts say all of us should scan our skin regularly for signs of cancer. So how exactly do you know when that, little mark on your skin is a mole or when it's melanoma? CBC's medical specialist, Dr. Karl Kabasele, is here to explain. And what timing? Because as we start thinking of sun and people want to soak it up because we've been, in months of winter and chill and stuff like that, this is really opportune. But for young people, why are they particularly or more susceptible to the sun's rays?
Well, what the research tells us is that over time, as we get older, our exposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun or other sources like these tanning beds is cumulative. So each time you're exposed to these rays, it does some damage to the skin. It causes aging of the skin. It causes wrinkling and all those things. But it also increases the risk of cancer. And what they found by looking over sort of people's lifetime, from youth, the more exposure in youth that people have had to ultraviolet radiation, the more likely they are to develop skin cancer down the road. So it appears that there's a susceptibility. Maybe it's because, younger skin is less resilient, if you will, to these to the effects.
And then how does the stuff coming out of the tanning bed, the UV rays, differ from what you're getting naturally if you're out playing tennis in the sun,
Well, that's just it. It does not. You've got the UVA and you've got the UVB, and we know that both of them can cause damage to the skin. So regardless of what anybody might tell you that, it's somehow healthier to use the tanning beds, not the case at all.
Well, I think that the scanning of your skin is a really important part of this, right? Something we kind of, I cream and stuff, but I don't actually look. So what are you looking for?
Well, first of all, people who have a lot of moles should have their moles looked at regularly by a doctor. But as for you, if you sort of have a suspicious mole, there are 5 things. A, B, C, D, E is the mnemonic that we use, starting with asymmetry. So moles that are benign tend to be nice and round and well-defined. Those that are cancerous tend to be kind of oddly shapen and not symmetrical.
So if anybody's eating right now...
Yeah, well, there's a picture on the screen, right? Yeah, don't look. So B is for border. Again, a healthy mole has a nice, crisp border, easily seen, whereas these cancerous lesions tend to have kind of a poorly defined border. It's harder to see where the skin starts and the mole ends, type of thing.
Okay, so the pictures we're showing our viewers are the problem pictures, right?
Exactly. Okay. This is what you're looking for that might be a problem. Number C, for C, we talk about color. So moles that are healthy tend to be one color. The cancerous lesions tend to have multiple colors within the same lesion. So you might see some reds, some browns, and that's certainly a warning sign.
Okay.
D is for diameter. So it's the size of the mole that can be the tip-off. And in fact, cancerous moles tend to be larger. So not to say that every large mole is cancer, but just sort of, statistically, we know that if it's bigger than a pencil eraser, the width of a pencil eraser, it's more likely to be cancerous. And then E, we've gotten to the letter E. E is for evolution, and over time, cancerous moles or cancerous lesions tend to change, whereas a healthy mole doesn't really change. It just kind of stays the same size and same shape and so on. So
I have to ask you one final question very quickly, Karl, because we're running out of time. But what do you do to protect yourself? Is it the lather on the sunscreen?
Lather on the sunscreen, stay out of direct sun, don't suntan, don't lie out in the sun, don't lie out on these tanning beds. Wear long sleeves and long pants if you can, and sort of stay indoors during those peak periods when the sun is at its height, because that's when you're getting the most exposure to UV radiation.
Because we've all seen the people who spend too much time, and they're leather people.
Exactly.
Right?
You don't want to look like a purse, right? Yeah, that's not a good look.
Thank you so much, Karl. CBC medical specialist Dr. Karl Kabasele. You're watching CBC News Network. I'm Sue Hannah Marchand. We're back right after this break.